and of other incurable injuries. He then made it his life's work to help others have healing miracles too. Over 50,000 people worldwide have followed Dr. Schulze's natural healing programs. Many have healed themselves of so-called killer and incurable diseases. Because his patients dared to heal themselves of cancer, AIDS, diabetes, arthritis, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and other diseases that medicine declares incurable, his clinic was forced to close, and he now lives in hiding. Dr. Schulze is a very dangerous man to doctors and drug companies, but to you, he just might save your life.
We had a nurse here at the last Crusade, and she said that she was an attendant nurse for appendectomies. And she said every appendix that they ever cut off that was inflamed in the hospital was packed with worms. Packed with worms. She said, in fact, the attendants used to always fool around, and once they cut your appendix off, they used to squeeze it and squirt the worms out at each other. She goes, and that's what's going on while you're lying on that table unconscious. No respect for you at all. They take the appendix and squirt it at each other, and all the worms squirt out. She stood up and told that story. 30 years in the hospital. Heard some of my greatest stories from nurses. They tell all. Someone asked during the break, how long should you be spending in the bathroom? This is a good question. How long should it take to have this normal bowel movement? Well, it should be very quick. You should be going into the bathroom. As soon as you feel the peristalsis, stop what you're doing. Go in the bathroom, sit down, and the next thing that you'll notice is your bowel will be working in less than a minute. And it probably will only take a minute for the material to come out. Now, if you're new to this, you might want to hang out a little longer, because you might notice in another minute you have a second wave or a third wave. So relax a little bit. But all in all, in 5 minutes, you should be out of there. You do not want to sit on the stool. Okay. Anisha, are you around? Here's one for you. Tasha, I was just talking to you during the break. Would you stand up, Tasha, please? In fact, would you come up here, Tasha? Come on down! Come on up here for a second. I want you to tell that story that you just told me about the hepatitis.
Okay. I had a woman call me up last week, and she said, all the children at school ages...
I'll be your mic stand.
All the children at school ages 6 through 11, they're getting a free hepatitis shot. She says it's a $300 shot. And so, because they're giving it free, shouldn't we give it to our children? And this is what they're doing in the schools in Montana right now. I don't know which parts, but...
In Montana. Idaho, they're doing it in the schools. They're doing it here, too. They gave your one-day-old baby the hepatitis B vaccine without explaining what it was. This is a nightmare that's going everywhere. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Yeah, let's give her a little appreciation. This is what's going on. Do you know that there's a bill up in the Senate and in Congress that's going to say that if you don't inoculate your children, you won't be able to deduct them on your income tax? Absolutely. It's been up for vote. Forced immunization, forced hepatitis. You know, in New York City now, every newborn baby gets an AIDS test without your consent. Listen to what's happening here. One-day-old baby, hepatitis B vaccine. This is a nightmare. A nightmare. Do you know that AIDS, now don't worry. Okay, her 6th grader was told that without the hepatitis B vaccine, she couldn't go on to 7th grade. How did you feel about that? Yes! You sound like... You sound like maybe you're promoting anarchy against the government and against the public school system. You sound like a dangerous person. You sound like a great crusader. Let's give her a little help here, because I guarantee you, in her community, she probably didn't get a lot of help and support, and we need to help and support her. This is a nightmare. Do you know that AIDS didn't break out in New York, San Francisco, and LA in gigantic amounts into the populace until the hepatitis B vaccine? There's a lot of people now that are theorizing that it is one of the destroyers of your immune system. Now, don't worry. Let's not panic, because you're a good mom and you got a lot of things you can do, okay? But this is a nightmare. You know, we had a man here from Africa at the last crusade, and he said the World Health Organization used to come to their village, and all the mothers would hide the babies from these doctors that would come in. And he said one day they got him, and they inoculated him, and the next day he was crippled in his entire body, and he limped himself at about 40 years of age up on this stage to tell that story. He was crippled immediately and still crippled to this day. That's our World Health Organization. You want to know what good the Peace Corps is doing? Talk to Adam. He spent 3 years in Africa in the Peace Corps, and he knows why it doesn't work. And the World Health Organization is going around the world immunizing and inoculating people and killing them. Do you know that in the 80s, the headlines of the London Times said, smallpox vaccine causes AIDS virus? The headlines of the London Times. That never got printed over here in any headlines. I tell people in America, we are in a news blockade. We are in a news blockade. Who do you think owns the newspapers and the televisions? Yes, big business, politicians. We hear what we are told we're going to hear. We hear what they want us to hear. I was over in Europe last year in Spain. All of Europe was crippled about the fact that British beef was contaminated. It was a European crisis. It was the cover of every magazine from the Russian border to the coast of Spain, from England to the southern tip of Italy. And when I came back the next day to the United States, the story wasn't even talked about here. Can you believe that? And we have that disease right here in this country, but nobody's going to touch that. No one's going to talk about the beef industry in this country in a bad way. The beef industry is what built the West. I can't believe the way we're inoculating people, but the World Health Organization found that all throughout Africa and the world, where they inoculated people with the smallpox vaccine, that people were developing AIDS. So they hired an independent research team to see if there was any correlation. Any correlation? The research team came back and said there was a direct correlation. In fact, we believe that you've created AIDS in Africa and in the third world countries. And they fired the research team. The research team went to the London Times, and the London Times published the story, and it never got published over here. And what the research team said is there's a direct result of the amount of smallpox vaccines between that and the amount of people with AIDS in Africa. And they said that there were millions of people shot in one country and millions of people with AIDS. The only country in South America at that time that had AIDS was Brazil, and that was the only country that the World Health Organization did the smallpox vaccination program in. The island of Hispaniola only had AIDS on one side of it, in Haiti, but not the Dominican Republic. Haiti was the only country, the only side with the smallpox vaccination program. It's estimated that now there are over 100 million people on the planet with AIDS given to them by the World Health Organization. Thank you very much. And now we're starting to force inoculations and vaccinations of hepatitis vaccine, which has also been linked to the AIDS virus. This is a nightmare. We're being used as rats. We're being addicted to medicine at a young age. I mean, we can't put up with this anymore. We're going to start seeing news on TV about people barricading themselves in their house with their guns and their children so they don't get taken away because they refuse to have their children vaccinated. And believe me, I'll be the first person driving to their house with my guns. I will support this. We have to stop. I read a poll recently by the military. They polled the military and said, would you go up in arms against American citizens who refuse to treat their children the way medicine says? And they said no. So we're going to have a lot of excitement if medicine and pharmaceuticals don't get put in their place. And that's what this crusade is also about, the illumination of this message. I've seen way too many kids hurt. You start talking about hurting kids, and now you're going to start getting me mad. No matter how bad you think the conspiracy is, I guarantee you it's worse. If you could only be on some of these closed-door meetings, it's worse right in the herbal industry. There's been closed-door meetings about what to do about Dr. Schulze. What do we do with this guy? Because he's telling stories to the public that they're not supposed to hear. I talk about ethylene oxide and the mutagen cancerous gases that are put on herbs in this country. They decided that the best policy was not to discuss that. Why alarm people? You might hurt the herb industry. I mean, there's a lot of meetings. People don't want people getting together like we're doing here. Isn't that exciting? And talking about these issues. But this is what we need to do if we're going to change it. I don't want my son growing up in this country right now the way it is. So I'm going to change it. The flu vaccine, there's a lot of them. Vaccines in general have a long history of maiming and crippling. The biggest problem is it doesn't allow our immune system to educate itself. Even in immunology class in medical schools now, they all state that one of the biggest things we've done, the biggest crimes we've done, is every time we got sick, we took something and never let our immune systems to self-educate themselves. So this is the biggest problem. We all have stupid, immature immune systems that don't know how to fix us when we get sick. We're going to bring in some supertonic. For those of you that aren't aware of supertonic, every great herbalist, such as myself, creates one cure-all. And some people have created lots of different plague-type tonics, but they were very complex and very hard to put together. And by the way, we're going to go straight now till 6 o'clock, and I'm not going to stop. So if you, there's a little fruit cut out there, and but we're going to run right through now. Don't all run at once. So I wanted to develop a cure-all, something I thought would get everybody going and heal everything. So I made one, and I called it Supertonic. I like that name, superfood, supertonic, Superman. So I made Supertonic. Supertonic. I wanted it to be easy. Many people have made a plague-type formula that's very difficult to make, with lots of herbs and boiling and all sorts of things. I wanted to make something easy, and I wanted to make something that anybody... thank you. Good thing I saved my eraser. I'll trash that Thursday. I wanted to make something that everybody could make and use, that was easy. So I started thinking about it. Okay, what is the basic cause of all disease? Now, you're going to get some supertonic. If you overdose, it will come back out your nose. Yes, so you're going to get, all you need is about 1/8 to 1/4 ounce. And knock it back, gargle with it, swallow it down, and yell Yahoo. You all need an empty glass, empty jar. Just hold out your hand, let them pour it right in it, or do that. Okay, so what is the cause of all disease? We've discussed blockage. So what would be one of the first things I would put in there? Yes, cayenne. Cayenne. And you know, cayenne goes to your heart, and pumps your blood and your circulation. And what is our other great circulatory herb? Ginger. Ginger root. Ginger root. Cayenne and ginger, I can't think of a better way to increase the blood flow over your entire body. Now I wanted something, what would kill any bacteria, gram-positive, gram-negative, any fungus, any virus? Absolutely the original plague herb, garlic. One of my criteria is I wanted everything in this to be fresh. Not dried herbs, not shipped herbs, everything fresh. And I wanted it to be things that you could get in a grocery store. Garlic. And what's garlic's nearest relative? Onion. And then I wanted one more thing just to push it all up to your head, because I know if I can get this unblocked, I can get the rest of you unblocked, and that's horseradish. And it's all brewed in raw, organic, unfiltered apple cider vinegar. Now, I personally call this the world's greatest salad dressing. And you mix it with a little of that olive oil and garlic we're having for lunch. Knock it back, gargle with it a little bit, swallow it down, moan if you have to. You'll feel it. You'll feel the sweat. You'll feel the heat. You will feel the intestinal stimulation. You will feel the blood to your head. Yeah. If you want to make this yourself, it's real easy. What you're getting is high-test supertonic. We get all these ingredients organically grown and then juice them and mix the juices with apple cider vinegar. Now that makes the high-octane supertonic, but you can make this at home real easy. All you do is chop up these ingredients. Equal parts, 1/5 of each of these, and fill a jug. If you're going to use supertonic and make this, all you do is chop up equal parts of fresh cayenne peppers. Which ones? The hottest you can find. Fresh ginger root, fresh garlic, fresh onions. What onions? The hottest you can find. And horseradish. Chop it all up, grate it all up, beat it all up, pound it all up, and fill your jug up to here with that pulp, and then fill it all the way up with apple cider vinegar, and let it set from the new moon to the full moon, and just start drinking it. My patient said, was this yours? Yeah. My patient said it was the cure for the common cold. How's it taste? Hot? Let me, Anisha, what if you, oh, wait a minute, don't drink that one. Yes. And if you want more, raise your hand. We have a few people that are gluttons for punishment. Okay, while we are unblocking, I'd say we're going to do something next after the supertonic. Yeah. This is an unblocker. This is fresh herbal Roto-Rooter. Someone asked me, how long does it last? When does it go bad? It can't go bad. It's already bad. And I'm serious. Vinegar's already bad. So vinegar can't only turn into vinegar. So it lasts a long, long, long time. I've never had supertonic go bad. It wouldn't dare go bad. The garlic wouldn't let it go bad. Okay, who hasn't had supertonic? Raise your hand. Oh, we have a few pockets here. If we run out, you just might have to smell the breath of the person next to you, but never fear, just the odor alone of supertonic is potent and will kill bacteria, virus, fungus. It will. Just the odor. You do not have to even consume some of these ingredients. They are powerful just through their odor. Forever. Never had it go bad. No, fill it up to the top with vinegar. 3/4 full with all these ingredients, and then pour vinegar in until the vinegar comes to the top of the jug. Yeah. Yeah. This is not nuclear physics. Chop the stuff up, beat it up, chop it up, grind it up, put it in a bowl and cover it with vinegar. You can start drinking it right away. My patients said it was absolutely the cure for the common cold, and I believe it is. I believe it's the cure for everything, and you can make it at home. Okay, let's gain our composure. Anybody else did not get some supertonic? Raise your hand. Got a few people. Okay, Anisha, we're going to the next one. If you can bring it out. I have another formula I used in my clinic. Thank you. I'm in a purging mood. Thank you. We got another one. Supertonic, again an unblocker. I have another unblocker here, which is a snuff that I made in my clinic. I couldn't sell my snuff, but to those that were ill, they would have paid $1,000 a vial for it. We don't sell it at American Botanical. I'm going to give you the formula right now for the snuff. We're going to pass the snuff around a bit, and then we'll all snuff at once. That's how you do a party snuffing. You'll notice someone handing out Kleenexes. You're going to need them. Okay, let me tell you a story about the sinuses. So as the snuff comes out, you'll be getting little bottles of vial or little things of powder. Take yourself about enough that would cover a fingernail and put it in front of you, and then just save it. And then we're all going to snuff together, okay? So just pass it around. But let me tell you this nice story about the snuff so you can really appreciate it. I had a patient come to me with, now settle down. You're having too much fun. Yeah. Would you pour me a little more water, please? I had a patient come to see me. He had a bleeding ulcer for 15 years. He got his ulcer healed in less than a week. He was very thrilled and excited about that. He always wanted to get his wife to come in to see me, but she didn't want to come in to the wacky weed doctor with a ponytail, and she didn't. He'd try to make appointments, and you know what I did in my clinic? I never took an appointment from someone calling for someone else. You're sick, you want to see me, you dial the phone. Okay? You know how many calls I got from people trying to save their mother, father, brothers, sisters, whatever? It doesn't work. Unless both their hands are broken and they can't push the button with their nose, I don't accept any excuse, but then let someone dial for you, but you still talk on the phone. I never took an appointment from anyone who wouldn't call me themselves. If you can't take the responsibility to call me up on the phone, you're never going to take the responsibility to heal yourself, right? Okay. So he kept trying to make appointments. I said, no, that's not the way it works. But finally she called me. She said, I'm dying. I got to see you. I feel like I'm dying. I said, okay. So he brought her in, and I was kind of shocked because I had met her before, and she was a very pretty lady, and her whole face was black and blue. Her whole face was black and blue. Her eyes were blackened. Looked like someone had beat her in the face 1,000 times. Her whole... Now, we're not using the snuff yet, just so I can be clear. You're just keeping it in front of you. I'll explain what we're going to do with the snuff in a minute. So it looked like someone had beat her in the face. And she was talking like that. She was talking like that. And I found out that she had incredibly blocked, shut off, closed down, sealed sinuses. And it had been going on for weeks. And she had gone to the doctor, and they had done numerous treatments and given her numerous drugs to the point she was shaking and vomiting, and they had to stop the drugs. Then the doctors took hypodermic needles filled with cortisone, put it up her nose, and injected it through into her sinus passages. And that broke all the blood vessels in her face and blackened her eyes. And it didn't work, and they did it again in 2 days. She owned her own business, hadn't worked in weeks, and now, by the time she came into my clinic, she had not slept in 5 days. And you heard what Cindy said about sleep deprivation. She hadn't slept in 5 days. So, let's quiet down just a little bit. So, she came in, and I said, okay, come on, lie down. I started with a very radical treatment, hot washcloth over her forehead. Put a hot washcloth on her forehead, started massaging her sinuses, got a little eucalyptus oil, put it in a towel, said, breathe this. Sat her up, I said, okay, let's see. And she went, nothing, nothing. I said, come on out in the kitchen. Came out in the kitchen, I said, it's about lunchtime anyway, gave her a white onion, said, chop that for our salad. She started chopping the white onion, tears were coming down. I said, here's some horseradish, grate me some horseradish. She grated a little, I said, open up, put the horseradish in her mouth. Tears are coming out, face went red. I said, now let me hear, try to get anything. And she went, and I said, hey, we're getting somewhere. Took her back in the, into my clinic, into my office, put hot washcloth on her face, little eucalyptus oil pressed on her sinuses. I said, sit up, and she went, I said, great, come in the kitchen. Got her on the grater. She skinned her knuckles. She was swearing. Skinned her knuckle, grating. I said, come on, another white onion. Let's make a big salad here. Chopping the onion, tears coming down, face red, stuffed more horseradish in her mouth. Got her back, lied her down, hot washcloth, eucalyptus. We're about 8 minutes into this now. I sit her up and I hear, I go, great. Got the snuff out. Put it in a little straw. I said, you suck in, I'm going to blow. She sucked in, and I blew up each nose some snuff. Her eyes lit up a little bit. And I said, come on, lie down. Washcloth, eucalyptus oil, back in the kitchen with a knuckle buster, grating some horseradish, chopping some onions. In 15 minutes, we had her sinuses totally clear in the clinic. I said, okay, now just sit here and rest, because it's been a good 15 minutes. She lied down. I went out, and I was talking to her husband, and we heard a crash. Something went against the wall in my office. I went in, I ran in, he ran in, and she was screaming and ripping some pages out of one of my books. She was a good natural healer. Ripping some pages out of my books, and I said, what is wrong? And she goes, I can't believe it. I've lost thousands of dollars. I haven't been to my business in weeks. I haven't slept in 5 days. I went to the doctor, spent $4,000 at the doctor, let him shove needles up my nose, and you fixed me in 15 minutes with food? And I thought, yeah? I don't know how medicine gets so crazy and complicated that they forget the basics. They forget the simplicity, right? And this is what this is all about. So a lot of people use snuffs hundreds and hundreds of years ago, but the herbalists today didn't use any. And I thought, what a better way to get herbs up into your nostrils and sinuses is to breathe them right up. I remember one of my first classes I was teaching, I had a bowl of cayenne, and the wind came along, and I breathed the whole thing right up in my nose. And I said, hey, students, I can't see right now, but I'll set this down. I'm okay. And I went into the bathroom and went, oh, God, get it out of me. But I learned the power of snuffing these herbs. So you all have in front of you some of our herbal snuff. Like I said, we don't make it anymore. I'll give you the formula so you can make it yourself. I sold $16 worth in 2 years, so it didn't really pay the bills. But like I said, when someone's got blocked sinuses, they will pay you a fortune for this. So the way to do it is just, you know, if you have one of these kind of pens, which is a good professional snorting pen, you can just dip it in the powder, close this nostril. Don't go, because then it'll blow it all over the person next to you. Blow out, put it here, and go. And I don't want to see this. You want to pretend like you're trying to drag it all the way down here, okay? A big drag. clear your mind, get another one, and do the other side. And don't blow it out. So go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, I'm going to give you the formula. I'm going to write it down up here. Never hurt anybody, healed thousands. Oh, come on, drag it in. Yeah, snub it deep. Now we're having a party. Yes. Yeah, there you go. I see some of you snorting this with $100 bills. Yeah. And once it's up there, take it down again. Let's breathe deep. Yeah, take it in. Yes. Yahoo. Yeah. I've heard a few choice words. Yeah. Good choke. No, don't blow. No blowing yet. Wipe the tears away if you want. Yes. You look like you're kind of trying to put a fire out. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Wow. Wow. Woo. Woo. Yeah. Yes, a good sneeze. Yeah. Woo. You look like you're trying to put a fire out back there. Yeah. Yahoo. Woo! This man's gone galaxy on us over here. Gone into hysteria. Yes. Tell you a story, a couple supertonic and snuff stories. I was doing this up at Dr. Christopher's school. I brought this formula. Yeah! Yes. Whoa, hey, you look like you're going to blow up. Good face. Good face. Hang in there. It's a ride. Yes. No, there's a few more ingredients I'm going to write down. I was teaching up, yes, good sneeze. I was teaching up at Dr. Christopher's in Utah, and I started bringing a lot of this intensity into his school. Snuffs and supertonics and live demonstrations and using herbs and tasting herbs and let's do the cold sheet treatment and enemas, and started doing all this up there. And I brought the snuff in the first year. I said, come on, we got to get everybody snuffing some herbs. First snuff, one lady in the back went, ah! And got up and ran out of the room. And we didn't see her all morning. We didn't see her for lunch. We didn't see her for afternoon. We didn't see her that night. And the next morning she came in and she said, Dr. Schulze, I'd like to say something. I said, come on, it's a forum, get up here. And she said that she had been plagued with sinus problems all her life, had lost her sense of smell years ago, and after doing that snuff, she ran to her room and that afternoon blew 16 blood clots this long out of her sinus passages. And in the morning, she said she could smell again for about a half a penny's worth of herbs. I was passing out the supertonic in another class. A man took a big slug of it and went, "Ah!" One of those good sounds. Ran out of the room. I didn't see him all day. This man was plagued with all types of infections in the mouth, and he had lost his sense of taste. Could never taste any food at all. One dose of supertonic healed him. Yeah, good sneeze. The point is, remember when I said getting well is just a matter of one step after another? You could be one glass of carrot juice away. Very nice. You could be one sneeze away, one snort away of some herbs, one drink of supertonic away. Keep going forward. Now, some of you think, well, maybe this is a little intense. What it is 50% bayberry and 50% golden seal root, powdered very finely and mixed up in a jar. Into that, I add cayenne and garlic. Now, golden seal disinfects the sinuses, and bayberry tightens and yes, stringes them up. Good sneezing section right over here. Cayenne, of course, brings blood to the area. And what's one of the problems that's causing disease up here? What? Blockage. Well, cayenne's going to unblock it. And the garlic is just the ultra disinfectant for the sinuses. Do you know that all doctors agree now that the common upper respiratory infection and cold starts right in the sinuses? And you breathe it in your sinuses. The first thing you notice is you get congested sinuses, a runny nose, then it drips down a sore throat, and as it goes further, you breathe it in your lungs for a lung infection. You can stop the common cold right here with some snuff. Right here. Yes. Now, a few people have said to me, but Dr. Schulze, Dr. Schulze, your formulas are too harsh. What's over there? We had a healing. Yes. Come on. Yes. Oh, wait a minute. Come on up here. Why just embarrass yourself there when we can embarrass you in front of everybody? It's never mind. Come on up. We've had an instant healing. We always have one or two of those. Hello? Hey.
Hello, Dr. Schulze.
Hi.
Did you know you're my hero?
Thank you.
I find it I haven't been able to breathe out of this side of my nose. I know it sounds like I'm still not breathing out of that side, but I am.
Yes. Yes.
This is
yeah.
good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
How long has your nose been stuffed up like that?
Ever since I broke it skiing.
Yeah.
When I was about 18.
So that was like last year?
Yes. Just last year.
Yes. Oh, good job.
Great.
Keep going. Keep going.
Right.
The first dose is free. The next one will cost you $800. Thank you. Yeah. Now, of course, we do have that one letter. Well, Dr. Schulze, your formulas are a little harsh for me and my family. Fine, then just go to the doctor and get a needle stuffed in your head. I mean, come on, look at this. This is intense. I know. I snuff this snuff. We use it around the house, but it can clear up a problem like that. We have to, yes, nice sneeze. We have to get away from this. We don't want to have any feelings. We don't want to be uncomfortable. Most people for sinus would take something so strong it would hurt them. Might even hurt their heart. And here we have something so easy, clears it out, disinfects it. How much? You make a base of this and you add your cayenne and garlic to taste. That's what I always say. Start by making, if you make a half of this jar of the bayberry and golden seal, Then just start adding a pinch or two of cayenne and a pinch or two of garlic. Shake it up and give it a try and see where you're at. I take ours up pretty high. A lot of pinches in there. What's that? No, no horseradish in this one. Just bayberry, golden seal. Now, someone wrote an herbal book recently and put one of my formulas in and said, this is Dr. Schulze's snuff, and they put the formula under that for intestinal corrective formula number 1. Yahoo! Personally, I've never broke a capsule and snorted it, but I'm sure it'll work. This is one of the best parts of playing with herbs, is I've never seen anybody hurt themselves. I've never seen anybody hurt themselves, as long as you're doing it with a good consciousness. I made an herbal heating balm that was the predecessor to our deep tissue repair. And I remember I worked on it for years. I finally took it up to Dr. Christopher and I said, Dr. Christopher, look at this great herbal heating balm I made. And he said, oh, look. And he opened the cap and he smelled it and he took his finger in and he almost took out the whole jar on his finger. And he went, and he put it all in his mouth. And I went, oh my God, I've just killed my favorite teacher. And his eyes lit up. And he said, wow, this is good. And I said, Dr. Christopher, stop. It's not to go in your mouth. And he said, is there anything in this I shouldn't eat? And I thought about it, and I thought, no. And he said, good. And that's when I learned it. If you make good herbal products, you can put them anywhere. I've had people put the deep tissue oil straight in their ear. They paid for it for about an hour, but it didn't hurt them. I've had moms put the eye bright tincture right in baby's eyes straight. And it's supposed to be 5 drops to an ounce of water. Baby isn't blind. Do you know what I'm saying? This is the best part about herbs. They're powerful healers. What's the worst case scenario that can happen to you if you overdose? Probably vomit. That's probably the worst thing I can ever remember. I think someone just vomited over here. Okay. Okay. Your ears are tingly. Your ears are starting to drain, yes. You don't have a little blood coming, no. Very good, very good. Your ears are starting to drain. So if you had people around you and you thought, you know, they thought you weren't listening to them. You're losing your teeth? Come on. Yes, you feel blood in circulation. Yeah. Yeah, all over your face. Sure, it's blood. We're getting rid of blockage. Yes. Yes, garlic powder, all powders, as much as you can get powdered. Definitely dried and powdered. Anybody else have any experience from these two? Yes. Come on, come on. You come on up here. You can tell us up here. I saw the look on your face. This has got to be good. You looked like your whole body shrunk by 50%. You went...
That was the second dose.
Oh, the second dose. Second dose. Yeah.
I live in Houston, and it's very,
Now
very...
start again, please, for us.
I live in Houston, and the climate is such that your sinuses are totally swollen shut, always. I never could breathe. And the first dose would not go through because it was so swollen up there. But it opened it enough so the second dose went where it needed to be. And I went.
Yes, good for you. Good for you. Oh, wow. Don't wreck any of my trash. Any other magical healings, instant healings with our snorting or our drinking? I would like, thank you. I would, tomorrow, we're going to start in with herbs. We're not done yet. But tomorrow yes, very nice. Tomorrow we're going to start in with herbs and herbal formulas. Do you all have the new catalog? Yes. You're the first ones to get it. It just got finished printed this morning. And we have some new formulas in there and some new information. And we're going to start working with herbs and herbal formula tomorrow. We're going to talk a lot about that. I would like to hear, who in here has had some amazing things happen to them using any of my programs, Formulas Natural Healing? I would like to hear a few stories, because we need those stories all along during this to get us more jazzed and more excited. If I do my job right when you leave here Thursday night or Friday morning, you ought to be flying without an airplane, okay? That's if I do my job right. Hey, can I tell my story? Absolutely, come on right up here. John, I'm so glad you're here.
You know, Sam Beiser's been writing about a man named Dean Howell, a doctor in Everett, Washington. So I've been there twice, and not to put it down, it's an amazing experience to have these balloons shoved up your nose and exploded in there. But it did nothing for me. I've been there twice. I had 8 treatments. It did nothing for me.
Yes! 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 40 years. Yeah! Let me tell you, we have a veterinarian here. Where's our veterinarian? Stand up, please. I'm so thrilled that we have a veterinarian here. He already mentioned to me that he might get attacked pretty soon by the veterinary organizations because he's doing things his way. Because you know the standard veterinary treatment for cats and dogs is to kill them, to put them down, right? Oh, thank you for being here. It's a horror. My patients used to bring their kitty cats and dogs. One time I had a goat in the floor of my office, and we were working on the goat. They'd bring horses to my clinic. You wouldn't believe, parakeets. I didn't know anything about this, but I was forced by my crying patients to do something. And what I learned was that you can use herbs just like you use with animals. Animals love superfood. We have more cats that have recovered from feline AIDS using superfood and echinacea. Dogs love superfood. That's why I say on the label, not tested on animals, but they love it. I got a call years ago, and someone said, my prize horse is dying. My prize horse is dying. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about horses. And they said, please, 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 please come. And I said, okay. And I drove over to one of the biggest equestrian centers west of the Mississippi River. And there was a horse lying down in the stall, and it looked dead. And the veterinarian was there, and the woman says, what can you do? And I said, I don't know. And the vet goes, who's this guy? And she goes, that's my herbal doctor. And he was like, oh, God. He said, this horse is dead. It's colicked. It doesn't have enough life in it. We're not even going to pick it up and take it to surgery to remove half its gut. It's dead. And I said, how could I get some herbs into it? And I said, because it doesn't look like I can put anything in its mouth. And it was a big horse, almost 2,000 pounds. He said, look. And he lifted up its lips, and its lips were white, no blood in its mouth. It was in shock. It was dead. And I said, but just humor me for a minute. I'd like to get some herbs in this. And he said, well, he goes, the way we'd get them in is we'd have to put a tube down into its stomach and pour them through a funnel down into the horse's stomach. I said, can we do that? And he said, okay. Because this woman was screaming and crying and saying, you let him do anything he wants. My patients were pretty strong about that. So I said, give me a bucket. I said, can we put a gallon of warm water? And he said, sure. I said, give me a gallon of warm water. I reached in. The first thing I grabbed in my bag was a handful of cayenne pepper, and I threw it in. And he said, my God, what is that? And I said, it's cayenne pepper. He said, you'll kill the horse. And just for him, I threw in another handful of cayenne pepper. And I threw a handful of this and some mallows and some senna and some fennel and just everything I just about had that I knew I could wake this horse up and clear out its bowels as fast as possible. Well, we tubed it down the horse and nothing happened. The horse was looking worse in shock, and the veterinary doctor was filling out the death certificate for the insurance company on the roof of his truck. And the girl was crying, and we heard a noise, and we turned around. That horse was standing up looking at us. Standing right up in its stall looking at us, and he said, "Oh my God, I don't believe it." And he looked at its gums, and they were bright red, and it was out of shock. And he said, "Well," he goes, "I'm not going to transport it." He goes, "It'll probably fall over in another second." And turned around, he was still filling out the death certificate, and we heard a noise, and the horse was eating. The horse was chomping on some food, and he goes, "I can't believe it." And then the horse takes a look at us again and goes, and I heard this, and all over the wall of the stall was this black tarry stuff dripping down, and then the horse spun around in a circle. I thought, whoa. A few minutes later go by, and the horse, we look in, the horse goes, black all over the wall, and the horse runs around in a circle. A few minutes later, we heard the horse pawing a little bit in the stall. We look in, and it goes, wall covered, and the horse spins around. And I said, "Why is the horse spinning around?" And the vet said, "Beats me. I think it's trying to get away from its ass." I started checking my dosage, and I thought, well, a horse weighs this much, I'll make the dosage 100 times a person. Whoops, a horse weighs 10 times a person, not 100. We had a little bit of jet propulsion going on. We had to put a little soothing ointment on the rear end later. Bottom line is that horse lived. And shortly after that, I administered that treatment to over 2,000 horses, and we never had one horse die of colic. And colic is the #1 cause of death with horses. 90% of horses die. 90% die of intestinal colic, and we've never lost one by tubing them with, guess what? Intestinal formula #1. What's the dosage for a horse? The entire bottle of 90 capsules. Just empty it out, put it in a gallon of warm water, tube it down, and bingo. The horse will get very wide eyes, and then some other exciting things will happen. The point is, and she brought it up, work on your animals. Work on your husbands. Work on your dogs. Work on your cats. Do your work. You don't have to know the anatomy and physiology. Remember, what we've learned in the last couple days is the essence of natural healing. Stop doing what hurts you. Begin doing what's going to heal you. Flush out the elimination organs and get the poison out of the body. Use your intestinal formulas. Get in the super nutrition and start building up your body. Move your body. I got on that horse with my knee and I was working its gut. Do the best you can. And remember, the essence of natural healing is growing that sunflower. You don't have to know all the complicated scientific facts of how plants grow. You just dig a hole, put a seed in, and give it some water, and it'll grow just fine on its own. Just take a person, an animal, a relative, whatever. Give them what they need to grow, and they'll get better. It's that simple. You've already done it. You hear the testimonies. I'm doing it. Have a great time in Santa Monica tonight. See you tomorrow morning.